When it comes to Greek mythology, there is not one god who's considered higher than Zeus. As the king of all Greek gods, he was believed to have ruled over Mount Olympus, being the tallest mountain in the whole country. He was known for being able to control the sky and possessing the power of using thunder and lightning, which empowered him to be able to strike down anyone who upset him or his closest, his brothers and sisters, mom, parents, friends. In this presentation, you will learn further background information on this powerful character in Greek mythology. Zeus's life was more of a tragedy than a gift. As looked upon by his father, he was a threat. Zeus's upbringing involved hardships which he had to overcome, which involved his father swallowing his brothers and sisters in order to avoid the empowerment over him. Power and qualities he possessed included being able to kill anyone who turned on him or his family. He had the power to bring back people from the dead and also was able to procreate, which meant that he could create gods or goddesses, which would reinforce any rules that he might have wanted people to follow. He impacted society in a way that resolved conflicts between gods and goddesses, helped restore peace between humankind and gods, as well as enforce justice through both good and bad. So his balance of using bad qualities and good qualities balanced out in order to help society mesh and become united. Zeus's personality and characteristics include being a punisher and a peacemaker. Through his punishments, Zeus had strong characteristics which made people fear him. He was capable of anything through any way. He was able to evolve into anything to get what he wanted. So many of the myths about Zeus include him changing himself or evolving into an eagle or a white bull in order to seduce women to be able to have affairs with him. This trickled down into his marriage and affected it, but his wife was only a little bit bothered by his affairs, never really enforced any rules or anything. I mean, he was the main god, so he had a lot of power and a lot of being able to get away with things. Through his peacemaking ways, Zeus was known for his affairs and his intentions remained relevant to society. So in other words, although he had affairs, he continued to help society and help better the unity and support from one another throughout his society, which he lived in and controlled. He kept his wife and children happy throughout his rulings. He dispersed acts of kindness throughout his people, and they loved and respected Zeus. He was a very heightened character. He was a very respected man in society, and everybody looked upon him for any type of opinion, for any type of rules. Everybody followed Zeus's rules. All of this trickles down into how he is represented in art today. Many of the art or artists that represent him choose to paint him or sculpt him in a way that shows a lot of authority. This man was very important to the society that he lived in because he was the start of the gods. If it wasn't for him, there would have been no gods. There's a myth that goes that Zeus, when he was born, as I said before, his dad swallowed all of his brothers and sisters, and this was because he was afraid of his children overpowering him and becoming more than he. So his mother, in fear that he would too swallow Zeus, he was a newborn, she hid him, and instead of giving Zeus's father Zeus, she gave him a stone wrapped in a blanket. The father swallowed him and believed that that was Zeus. Zeus was then hidden in an island and was forced to live there. He was raised there by nymphs, and these women allowed him to practice his powers and become greater than he ever could have been living with his parents. So as he got older, he became more and more powerful. He became more and more self-involved with his society. So he grew a lot of power, and he went back to his parents, and he forced his father to spit back up all of his brothers and sisters, and that was the start of the gods and goddesses. He later on married his wife. Her name was Hernia, and they had two beautiful children. All of the children of the gods were beautiful, and that pretty much was the Adam and Eve of the Greek mythology. He started the different traditions. He started the generations of gods and goddesses. So his representation of arts, as far as his statue positions, his posture is very upright and authoritative. He has a serious, masculine, very upright position in many of the statues that he's in today. For example, at the Getty Villa, he's in a position where he is throwing a lightning bolt. They don't know if it's Poseidon, his brother, or if it's Zeus. But many people believe it is Zeus because his hand is shaped in a circular position, which shows that he was throwing a bolt and going the western part of the world. So he was in charge of many things. He was in charge of killings. He was in charge of setting authority. He was in charge of people following what he wanted. And this shows through, there's a lot of attitude in these statues. And his facial characteristics, he has very broad facial expressions, exposing cheekbones and wide eyes. Very chiseled and handsome with a large beard. Excuse me. In Greek mythology, a lot of the statues have beards. The ones who are not seen as masculine. So having a beard gives you a lot of authority. Having a beard shows that you are a man, shows that you have power, and that's exactly what Zeus was. He was the perfect representation of a masculine man. Everybody wanted to be like Zeus. He was the Beyonce to the girls. He was the Chris Brown to the men. So he was very important. He was the one who everybody looked up to. So myths behind the art. There's different myths that shows that Zeus resurrects every year and joins in on the many celebrations throughout the year. These different celebrations include Humanic and Orphic hymn celebrations. So they're pretty much just myth recollections, and people speak on him, and they try to bring back and keep alive what Zeus represented, and that's a lot of power, that's a lot of masculinity. So the admiration towards Zeus's power and fearful appearance is casted by many of us today. So in society today, everybody likes to be masculine and likes to show that they are direct and very authoritative. And that's exactly what Zeus represents. So all in all, Zeus's demeanor in reinforcing his powers shows his individual responsibility to settle disputes, punish misdeeds, and act towards his fellows through justice and moderation. As the father of men, his representation through art is strong and admirable, making it almost inspiring for all of us to advocate his use of merciful dispensation as well as helping out our own to any degree.